G'day and welcome to the MacPack.
We're back.
I'm Shavy Kenner, and to my left this weekend, one of the biggest Collingwood fan we have here on the panel. It's my little brother Joe. How are you, boy?
Yes, Jake, I'll wear that mantle with pride as we head over to Melbourne for the big game.
Very exciting indeed. And to my right, coming in at 6'1", as he does each and every week, it's the baby brother of the pack, who we call Junior Boy. Junior Boy, how are you?
Ooh, it's September and the boys are bleeding black and white.
We are indeed. We'll be chatting about that off the top as Joey and I look to make some moves over east over the next couple of weeks. Plus, Riley's got a film story.
Made a movie, got a story about it.
Very exciting. We're also playing Cost is Correct, comparing 2017 Coles prices with their 2023 prices. Plus, we call Dad to find out what those little markers he used in primary school are actually called. And Joey, you're giving this week's Everyday Hero to a couple of sailors. It's a massive ep. Let's get into it. Boys,
Flamingos.
How are we, Lou?
Fan freaking tastic and fan freaking excited.
Yeah, it's starting to get a little bit real. We mentioned late season 2 from memory. It would have been a couple of months ago now that we managed to get a hold of some grand final tickets early on in the piece this year.
Yes, we did. And then we mentioned, a couple of weeks ago about how
Confidence, it wasn't all lost, but it was waning. We definitely weren't as confident as we might have been at the time of purchasing both tickets and flights.
Yep, because we bought the tickets and then 3 out of the 4 of the next games, they didn't win.
No.
Ooh.
And Slick went down with a near season-ending injury.
Yes, the best player on the team.
Yeah. But things are slowly coming together. We've made the preliminary final. At time of recording, we don't know who we're playing.
No, we don't.
And at time of when this is published, me and Joe are in Melbourne.
Yep, and it'll be tonight. Will be the big game.
Fuck, yeah, right.
Go Pies.
So, yeah, as of tonight, when you're listening to this, me and Joe will be in Melbourne packing our DAX, heading to the prelim final.
Who could they be versing?
It'll be between GWS and Collingwood or Port Adelaide and Collingwood.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Predictions?
I think it'll be Port.
Okay.
I think it will. I thought they were going to win last week, though, so...
Yeah, that was never going to happen in my opinion. Riley, who do you think?
You'd hate to see GWS get there again and knock the Pies off again.
Yeah,
So-
And why would we hate to see that?
Well, in 2019, you bring up a really good point. 2019 was the last time that we did this.
The prelim trip.
Yeah, the prelim trip. We knocked off Geelong in the qualifying final, which is the first final.
Yep. And for those who don't know, the prelim is the one before the grand final.
Correct. And then we had no real expectations. We just decided we're going. There was going to be 2 prelims in Melbourne. We were like, yeah, fuck it. We'll go to both of them. And then if we manage to win, we'll stay and go. And I don't know, we'll just work out how we'll get to the grand final.
Yeah, we were going to
If it
stand out the
happens.
front of the stadium and look for tickets.
Yeah. We went over. We were 2019. So I would have been 22. You would have been 20.
20, yeah.
And young junior boy,
Would have been
16, 17.
16, yeah.
16.
Still in high school.
16.
And fair bit going on in September as a 17-year-old, 16-year-old.
Yeah.
You're in year
I think
11.
it's in year 11, yeah. September of year 11. What happens in September of year 11? Exams!
Yeah.
Yes.
HR exams.
It's a pretty controversial time to be making the venture over.
Yeah, I remember Jake just coming in and being like, mate, we're going to go watch the Pies in the prelim and maybe the grand final. You want to come? I was like, yeah, fuck off. He's like, you got anything on? I was like, oh, probably not. And then I get to school the next week and they're like, all right, here's your exam timetable. And luckily it was only the PE studies prac,
Right.
which I think was like volleyball at the time or something.
Yeah. But it's a great one to get easy
Oh, yeah,
points in.
especially me because I was struggling on the academia. So I was, but I'm all good at an overhead float serve. But I remember telling the teacher, I was like, oh, sir, I'm not going to be here for the fucking
You were
mock
very
exam.
honest about it, which I still think is arguably the worst thing that you could have done.
Lie.
I was like, sir, I'm not going to be here for the mock exam. He's like, oh, no, what do you mean? I was like, I got to go watch the Pies. And he was like, oh, you shouldn't tell me that. I was like, what do you mean? He was like, well, I might have been able to get you in like an
Yeah.
Extension.
exempt or something. But he was like, now that you told me that you're going over just for the footy, it's like,
And
gonna
a
have to fail
family
ya.
funeral.
Yeah. And Nan's dead.
It did turn into a bit of a funeral, didn't it? When the Pies lost in the rain.
Against GWS.
Yeah. Which is...
Hence why we wouldn't like to see that.
I actually personally would like to see GWS Pies.
Yeah.
I think Collingwood would be more likely to knock over GWS than Port Adelaide.
Yeah, probably.
And I'm a big GWS. I love GWS. I think they play a very exciting brand of footy.
Yeah.
We'd love to. You're not coming this time. You're not coming to the prelim.
Not to the prelim.
You may,
Now my final year of uni.
which is
So-
apparently more.
More important than year 11.
Out of pocket a
Nice.
bit of this one, so can't be failing that.
There you go. But there's a chance that if we do get up tonight,
Yeah.
you will be coming over for the big
The big dance.
GF,
Yeah.
which is very exciting.
And if we do lose tonight, we'll have 4 grand final tickets for sale.
That's a
so
great
if you want to
point.
message us on Instagram, email is even good.
Anything.
Gmail.
We will be taking, start the bidding at 3 grand.
Yeah, it'll be close to.
Yeah. Which isn't a bad thing. We'll be in the green.
Who do we think comes on the other side of the ledger? So teams still available at the time of recording. We've got Brisbane, who have just made their qualifying final.
Yep.
And Melbourne versus Carlton. The winner of that will play Brisbane. Who do we think wins that over the weekend?
Well, I think it'll be Melbourne because obviously they're a better team. But Carlton's been on a run.
Yeah. I think this Braden Maynard thing, this Angus Brayshaw thing, has really...
That's all they would have been thinking
Yeah,
about.
it seems to be that they haven't seemed to... The Melbourne Demons seem to... If I was them, I'd be quite concerned about the fact that they lost on the weekend.
Yeah, exactly. Not some other player getting suspended.
Yeah, all the publicity seems to be about Gus, who... Yeah, fair enough that he might... It's not a great position for him to be in. Like, you worry about his health, and he's had some mental... he's had some concussion issues in the past. But as a team... Maybe worry about it. Maybe worry about
let it
it
go.
next week.
Think about the big goal.
Yeah. Be interesting to see. Who would you like to play in a grand final? Obviously, it's Brisbane and either Melbourne or Carlton.
I want to verse Brisbane because they'll lose.
Brisbane don't have a great history at the G,
Oh, huge.
in the sense that they've won one game in 8 years at the G.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Which is a bit...
shocking.
That would be the only thing you'd be thinking about
Yeah,
the
legit,
entire week.
No, it's got to get mentioned.
Well, come here and lost a lot.
Yeah.
They're yet to lose at the Gabba all year. They haven't lost a fixture at the Gabba.
So they were 100%.
So I imagine
Wow.
they're beating whoever
Mhm.
they play. But that following week, man, the stories, the media bash up about Brisbane's inability to win where it matters
Yeah.
most. If that's not playing into your psyche, I don't think anything is. I personally would love to see the Baggers beat Melbourne, roll
See,
the Lions, and then meet us in the grand final. Collingwood v Carlton grand final. The date, the time of recording, it's the 12th of September. Nostradamus
we'll
has
know.
done it before. Jake Stradamus might do it again.
Oh.
Carlton Collingwood grand final.
See-
It would melt Melbourne. What a time to be in Melbourne.
See, the thing is, I like Carlton. I have some friends who go for Carlton and stuff. And it's like the whole story about how they were doing really bad at the start of the year and now they've really picked
Yeah.
up.
Like, I don't want them to win.
No, but the thing is, if they like smash Melbourne and Brisbane, then like
That's their grand final.
I would be way more stressed about
Oh.
versing them because like they got
Out of
the,
nowhere.
they got the momentum, you know.
Mm.
That's fair enough.
Also, like,
And then
Patrick
they've got
Cripps, great
this.
bloke.
They've got like the story,
Mm.
which I feel like is a big.
Yeah, that's
Damn,
true. We would
that's
lose.
playing
We wouldn't have the story. Our story would be Braden Maynard.
Yeah, our story is we've been good all year. And we're gonna lose to the team that had like one of the worst starts this season ever.
Mm.
Oh man, it'd be good. It would be good to see Melbourne. Melbourne in that environment would be you wouldn't be able to match it. Wouldn't be able to match that.
Yes,
You really couldn't.
Very
exciting
exciting
times.
indeed. But yeah, fingers crossed we win tonight. Fingers crossed we stay for the week. Fingers crossed the Pies win the flag. Little bit of coin riding on it for those playing along at home. Either way, I think we're walking it. If we lose, we'll make a couple of grand on the profit, and if we win, we'll make a couple of grand on the punt,
Oh, really?
which is equally as exciting.
Win-win.
You're coming as well this time, so Taylor's coming. Taylor's very keen.
Yep.
Last trip, me and Taylor, brings me. I'm glad that you're coming in the sense that there was a couple little awkward moments that I fell into when we went to Sydney late last year that I'd written down and made mention to, but we've never spoken about them on the podcast before. The one that comes to mind that I think it'll be good to get you. It'll be good to have you there to get me out of these little curly predicaments. One that comes to mind is we were actually on the beach wasn't Bondi. There's another beach. It's not Bronte Beach.
I have no idea. I know that Bondi is in Sydney.
One of the beaches.
They have trash beaches there anyway. I've only ever been to Bondi.
We went for a bit of a wander. We went down to like a little bit of a secluded area on this beach round the back, right? Very sandy, very windy type setup.
Yep. It's giving beach.
And it was all going well and good, and I was pretty exhausted, and we just sat up on, because the wind takes it out of you. When it's really windy, and it was like uncomfortably windy. You couldn't sit on the beach because the sand was just blowing into your face.
Sandy,
So we perched up on a bench. And that was fine. There was a lady who was sitting on the sand at the time. The wind didn't seem to be bothering her. She was hidden by like a few bushes, a few trees, and she was enjoying her time in the sun.
Right? Yeah.
She was by herself. The weirdness it's not required yet. There's a real tension in the room. And that was fine. So I was just sitting there. I think Taylor went and got, I don't know, a bizarre little fucking Aichi bowl. What do you call it? Acai bowl. And she was eating that, and I was sitting there just chilling. The lady in front, I think she was doing one of those things where you tan yourself, but you're not wearing the top. Do you know how like you're lying on your front?
Yep.
But she's taken the top off.
Yeah, so you don't have the lines.
Yeah.
Yep.
Very bold move. I would never. Would you ever lay on your front without pants on, just to get the
like the male version of that?
Yeah, like would you get your cheeks tanned?
Cheeks out. I feel like that's very different.
That is very different.
Is it?
Same principle.
Same principle.
Not really, because you're just naked.
See, my only thing,
but like
my only thing with it is, what if you need to quickly get up? You're caught in no man's land.
Yeah. And like this woman, I don't know what it's like to put one on your back. Hopefully, I never know. But like, I don't know how she's done it. But it's a lot of, I don't know, just a lot of confidence shown in the ability to be able to do that yourself on a beach. It's like a pretty public area. Like, I don't know how she's planning on getting up. Anyway, so we're sitting there. We're not really paying much attention to her, but she's doing her thing. We're doing our thing. Yeah. It's all good and well. She doesn't know we're there because she's facing the water, right? So we're behind her.
Yep.
And she's behind a bush. So it's all a little bit like...
Already weird.
It's already a bit odd, right? And I didn't feel uncomfortable because there was a lot of people around.
A lot of witnesses.
Yeah. The shop that Taylor bought the Aichi bowl from...
Yep.
Packed up. So they'd finished and all the staff had disappeared. All the people that were sitting in the little cafe area, they'd gone in the time that we were sitting there watching Taylor eat. The lady's still doing the tanning stuff, which is fine. We're still sitting.
Yep, no one said it wasn't.
We're still sitting on the bench, right? But this is where I think you'll come into play.
Joey.
Because
I'll be in the bush.
No, because what happened, what followed this was obviously the shop behind's gone. So the people have all gone. The employees have all gone. A very busy area has become quite secluded, right? So now there's nowhere near as many people. The wind is picking up. So the people who are on the beach are now walking off. They're leaving the beach. So the amount of people on this beach in this area has decreased rather significantly.
Yep.
All within a matter of 10 to 15 minutes. Taylor's eating a little food bowl. This lady's tanning, face down still doing that shit. And then Taylor goes, all right, I'm going to go throw this in the bin. I was like, yeah, no worries. And then she's gone to... And I imagine the bin was not that far away. Turns out the bin was quite a distance away, so she's gone to look for it. Not necessarily I'm putting this in. I'm going to go
find a bin.
I'm going to go find a bin to put this in. So she's got it up and she's walked off, which has left me sat on the bench by myself with a bag. And the sand, as I mentioned, the wind is picking up, and the lady who is only 5 meters away from me, laying in the sand, no idea that I'm there, no idea that Taylor and I are there.
Yeah.
She's got her eyes shut. She's head in the sand. Decides to get up and put her top on and leave the beach. Right.
Fair enough.
Yep.
But as she's done that, she's sat up, not wearing a top, not facing me. Put her top on. Right. That's
Yep.
all fine, good and well.
Yep.
And then Taylor's still looking for the bin.
Man.
And then she's turned around.
It's blowing a
And
gale.
all she's seen is me sitting there. I'm not eating anything. I'm not drinking anything. I'm just holding a bag, sat on the bench, just like looking forward at the beach. She's also like,
the eye line.
yeah, she's at 6. She's at 12 o'clock. The beach is at 12 o'clock. I'm at jail o'clock because I'm sitting there going, this looks way worse than it would have 10 minutes ago, 5 minutes ago, 2 minutes ago when Taylor was sat there and the beach was full. Now it's just me being weird on a bench with a bag, watching you put your top on.
And this is why you need Joey.
So
And that's why Joe's coming to Melbourne.
Yep. So I can hold the binoculars.
All right, Riley boy, you've been extraordinarily busy over the last couple of weeks. We made mention to it, I think, last time we were here.
Shooting my movie.
Shooting your film. It's getting tense for Riley at the moment.
Because he's
With you-
going to be a star on the screen.
Something like that.
You're a soundy, aren't you, behind this? You're
I'm
behind
very,
the shot.
very far behind the
Yeah.
camera. Yes.
Behind the cameras where the magic happens.
That's right. That's right. Shout out, camera guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the soundy.
Yeah, the soundy.
Because it's sounding good.
That wasn't. Anyway, so I'm shooting my final film at uni. My 3rd year capstone project, boys. How exciting. Great time to be
Need
alive,
any
right?
singers? I know a guy.
Anyway, so our shoot was a bit of a logistical nightmare. We had to shoot down south for 4 days, right? Which is, yeah, a bit rough on no budget. Anyway, so morale was low.
So, Douth, and how far was the drive?
Hour and a half. So it wasn't that bad.
Oh,
but like morale, especially when you're like on the shoot and you're like waking up at like 6 a.m. and you shoot to like 10, gets a bit rough.
And how long was the shoot?
4 days.
4 days, right? And me and Jay were talking about this. It's like you're working, what, 12-hour days, even longer?
Yeah, longer.
And then you finish up work, time to relax. I'm going to hang out with everyone who
Yeah.
I was just intense
Yeah,
work
go
situation.
pack down all your equipment and clean it and then get it ready for the next
Could
day.
you imagine going to work in a pretty high stress environment?
Yep.
And like I've been in some pretty intense chats. At least when you leave the room, you don't have to speak to these people for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
And then when you leave work, there's no way that they can get in contact with you. Right? Like, there is just no.
Yeah, because they've all got a fake phone number for me.
Yeah, no one's got my digits. And if they do, they're getting screened, baby.
That's like,
And he's walking out of like a fucking punch on straight into accommodation with the person that just
And I'm
shot a.
sleeping next to the bloke.
Yeah, no one's safe. You did mention earlier 6 people went down, 3 came back. So
No, 18 went down actually. It was 18
and
of
only
us.
3 came back.
18
18 cast and crew, yeah.
that seems like a lot of people.
4 cast, 14 crew. It's actually not that much. It's pretty
Yeah.
bare bones. Anyway. But yes, shooting the film. Great times, right? And you know, on set it is always a weird thing working with the actors.
Yep.
Who we call talent.
The talent.
The talent.
That's what they
yes.
call me.
Especially like
The girth talent.
we had like a bunch of age range. So our lead character was 18.
Yeah.
Like main supporting was 21, and then our other supportings were like 50 odd.
And
Yep.
how have you gotten these people? Have they just
They
sent-
auditioned. We had like 50 people audition. It was
How
pretty,
do you advertise that?
just on Facebook
Are
and
they
stuff.
getting paid?
No. A lot of people just do it for exposure or for experience,
Okay.
just to support the art form. You
Good
know,
on 'em.
none of us are getting paid.
Could we do it? Could
only-
me and Joe put our hand up to do some acting?
Yeah, you come and be a runner on set.
Awesome singing, yeah.
That would be sick.
We
I'd
actually,
love to do
we're
that.
composing it right now.
Can
If
you
wanna
get
come
us
in,
on a
Jay.
shoot?
Yeah, you can come. You won't like it, and you might get yelled at.
But no different to this.
Anyway,
Don't like this. Get yelled at heaps.
So yes, doing the shoot, right? And it's always awkward with the talent, especially like when you said like tensions get high on set.
Yeah.
So you always got to be checking in on the talent because they're not getting paid to be there. So you got to make sure they're feeling welcome.
Yeah.
Did they have to pay to go down?
No, we cover the petrol cost.
What about the accommodation?
Food, no, we cover the accommodation.
Oh, that's pretty good.
So yeah,
I'd do that. Fuck. Week down south.
Yeah, well, you're just
it's not very relaxing.
standing around all day. You have to memorize these words on the page.
I know what acting is.
It would be fun to be on the other side of it. Like they definitely do have a bit of an easier job, and they come on for, I wouldn't say easier job, more simple job. Like they come on for like 4 days.
Yeah, and then that's it.
And then they're done. But I've been doing it for 3 months already, and I've still
Yeah.
got another 3 left. Anyway,
Wait, do you have people who do makeup and stuff?
yeah, production design.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Why?
I was just wondering.
You want to do it?
I think I could have a crack at the makeup.
Because you're just practicing yourself.
Yeah. I've seen the little sticks and then there's the circle cushiony thing.
Yeah, the cushiony.
That's
thing.
definitely for something.
Anyway, so, it's always awkward with the talent, right? And tensions were quite high on set. They get quite high. And me and my mate, we love to bring beers on set just to kick back. And like you said,
kick back at work.
at the end of the day, it's just a really good thing. Like we worked on a shoot and it was just like elite to crack over a beer. But we all forgot to bring them until we got to the 3rd day. And
we remembered we had them. They were in the boot.
Tensions were super high. And the guy running the unit, which is like food and drink, he was like, I'm going into town today. And I heard him say that on set. And I ran over to him and I was like, dude, get beers.
What beers?
And then he laughed and walked off. And then I messaged him and I was like, bro, I wasn't joking. Like, get beers. Anyway, so I brought back Slapper Great Northerns, right?
Ooh.
So this is the, yeah.
Bad choice, buddy.
Yeah, but we'll take it.
We're down south, buddy. No good norths are up here.
Yeah, they were mid-strengths. Anyway. And then so we wrapped day 3, which is probably like the highest tension, like very stressful, long day. Anyway. And then we all get back to the rooms and, we're all shattered, sunburnt, and it's so cold as well. Like everything is bad. And then I walk over to the fridge.
The beers.
I walk over to the fridge and I'm like,
I need a mother effing brewski.
yeah, I'm like, here are the brewskis. There's 4 6-packs in here. And then we crack them open and like I hand them around to all the boys in my room. There's 8 of us in the room. Give all the boys a beer. And I'm like, oh, this is late. And then I was like, you know what? I'll run over to the girls with a 6-pack or 2 and I'll go offer them some beers as well.
Good man.
Get everyone involved. So I ran over to their room and knocked on the door and they opened it and offered them beers and they were like, nah, we're all good. And I was like, oh,
Not a single beer.
not a single beer to 6 women. Shocker. I was like, come on. Anyway, I was like, all good there. Have a good night. Night. And then I was walking back to my room and then I looked over at the talent's dorm and the light was on.
It's not the only thing they're talented at, Riley boy.
And then I was like, I do remember saying as a joke to our producer,
Don't sleep with it.
yeah, no. I do remember saying as a joke to our
There's
producer.
another 50-year-olds.
I do remember saying as a joke to our producer in pre-production. I was like, yeah, we got to get beers on set. I want to get the talent shit faced, right? And I'm like, oh, where's the main guy? He's throwing up on this down the road. And she was like, yeah, nah, like don't give him beers. Like they're there to do a job. And then I was, walking back and I was like, oh, fuck it, let's do it. So I walk over to the dorm, knock on the door, and one of the main young bloke is like a 21-year-old lad. We'll call him Timothy. Timothy was like, open the door, right? And there's only 2 of them in there. There's 50-year-old bloke and the 21-year-old guy. And I like
the dream bunk.
and the other 2 like and the other 2 chicks were in the bathroom, right? So then I knock on the door and the boys are in there, and then I'm like, lads, like, what are you doing? And the 21-year-old guy was actually in bed, like in his sleeping bag, like shirt off, like I don't know what he's wearing pants wise, but like ready for bed essentially.
The other guy was in there with him.
And then I was like, And then I was like, boys, I was like, like, I hate to disturb you, and I know like I'm not allowed in the talents room. Like, the talents room is very like out of bounds.
Yeah,
like,
sacrosanct.
yeah, leave it for the talent to rest. And
we'll do whatever they please.
yeah, and then so I knock on the door, walk in, and I'm like, boys, and I'm not supposed to be here, but I just want to let you know, like, us lads are having a few beers if you want to come around.
Goodness.
And they were like, fucking oath we do, right? And so then they get out of bed, put their clothes back on, walk over to the boys' room, and we just sit out the front for till 2 a.m. It was probably like 10 a.m. when I went over there, or when we got back.
10 p.m.
Yeah. And then me and the boys just sat out the front of our little dorm till 2 a.m. just sinking the beers. And I was like, fuck, this is such a good time. And then even the producer walked past at one stage, and I was like, boys, just wait until she comes and tells us off, and then you can leave. But they just didn't leave. It was just great times. And then even the female talent came over as well. It's just great times.
Oh, that's good. There's a real pause about that.
Well, because it's just like you want to make sure the talent are feeling safe on set, make sure they're having a good time. And it's definitely the beers that do it. It's not even like the quantity of beers. Like, we all had 2.
Or the quality.
Yeah.
Or the quality. It's
Great
just,
Northern.
It's just the fact that
Who knew?
there's a beer to be had. Everyone can just sit down.
The idea of a beer is
kick back.
fantastic.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
And
I've never said no to a beer.
and they
Me neither.
and they just sat down and they had a can of sardines, and then
I probably wouldn't have drank that.
they were like eating this. I was just like,
beers and fucking sardines.
Yeah,
fucking go.
fucking revolting. But
The best Dallas trip I've ever heard of.
it was good times. And then when I woke up in the morning, I thought I was going to be yelled at by the producer, but everyone was thanking me because everyone was in such a great mood from the night before.
There you go. We love it. Beautiful scenes. Alrighty, boys, bit of an exciting one. Last week on the MacPack podcast, we're actually talking about our most recent everyday hero, who was Franky Mac.
Daddy.
He's actually unaware that he won the hero at this point in time.
Because he doesn't listen.
He hasn't listened to that episode. But we also made mention early on in the piece when we were talking about the hit list of pleasures, about colouring and drawing in the lines, how pleasurable it is to watch someone use what we call a texter to do exactly that. Now, something we mentioned is that our lovely father refers to these things as textures.
Textures, yeah.
And we couldn't work out if he just, that's what he thinks they're called, or if that's how he says it. And Joe had a fantastic point of mentioning exactly that. He goes, do you think that he would refer to someone who sends lots of text messages, they're an active text message sender, as a texter? Or as a texture?
Yeah, because it's like, when there's like, some people can't say like appreciation and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's like, I know all the words, but I can't say it
yeah.
right.
What is a texture? A texture is like something that has feeling.
Texture is a describing word.
Yeah.
Texture is like, the texture of this leather is nice.
Wouldn't be a
Exactly.
describing word.
Okay.
Anyway.
So we also asked the people of Perth this week what they refer to those pens as. And the results were a little bit more alarming than we would probably like to admit, in the sense that Dad might not be 100% incorrect if he thinks they are called textures. So we've decided to give...
Maybe not incorrect. Maybe he's not alone.
No. So we've decided to give the old man a buzz. We're going to ask him exactly that. What would you call someone who is an avid texter? And then we're going to ask him, what would you call the pens that you use when you're in primary school? That do for drawing the colours, and we're going to see if the answers are the same or if they're different, and then we're obviously going to break the bombshell.
This could be anything.
Yeah, this is this is science in action here on the MacPack podcast. So we're bringing him up now. This is Franky Mac joining us here on the MacPack podcast. Franky Mac, how are you, mate?
Good. City Morgue. You kill them, we chill them.
We did. we should have mentioned off the top before we intro Dad that we are incredibly nervous about having him on the line. We don't have any live beeping mechanism, so it's all going to be done in post. And the machine's definitely going to get an overuse. Firstly, Dad, how are you? Long time no see.
I'm going good. I was going to bed. Now I'm going mad.
Good. Well, we just have a pressing couple of issues that we mentioned on the last episode of the podcast, and we're aware that you haven't seen it just yet. But Joe had a fantastic question that he wanted to bring to your attention. He wants to know what you would call someone who is an avid text message user. So they send a lot of text messages to their friends. What would you term that person?
Wanker.
Yeah.
I did guess that off air.
Is there a term that you... Oh, goodness gracious me. Is there a term that you would use to define that person? Like if you go running heaps, you're a runner. If you text heaps, you're a
Texta.
A texter. Okay.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic to hear.
Like a chainsaw massacre.
I'm not sure.
That's Texas.
Now
I know what it is.
Now the follow-up question to this: do you remember when we were in primary school, Dad, and we'd come home from primary school and we've done a bit of arts and crafts, and we'd use a certain type of pen to colour into the lines. Can you remember what those pens were called?
The highlighters.
Yeah, sort of. Like they weren't crayons, but they were.
Right. Oh, you want me to say that word that I can't say?
And what would that word be?
Texture.
Texture.
Yeah.
But
The thing is,
But you just
you just said it. You can say it.
because when you said Texta, as in about the text messaging,
You got it right.
you nailed it.
Yeah, I did. I know. It's a bit like when I call the cat a girl and I call the dog a boy.
But it's vice versa.
Mum.
That's correct.
Mum corrects me all the time, so I just keep doing it to keep her busy.
So it's not so you can say the word. It's not that you can't say the word.
It's a choice.
Yeah, well, depends on how many drinks I've had.
Yeah, good to know. We went out of our way this week and we asked the people of Perth what they call those pens, because we've always called them texters in the same way that you describe someone who sends lots of text messages. And the most alarming thing from our side of things was that we had a handful of people who said texter, so we're not incorrect. We just want to flag that up front. But we also had a lot of people who said texture and spelt it the way that you would say it.
Yeah, that's all right. It's all the way it sounds.
You're not
It's all
alone.
the way it sounds out.
Yes, exactly. Well, we just thought we'd bring that to you. But yeah, obviously it's not. It's a choice. Dad's making a bit of a statement piece.
A statement for mankind.
There you go. Well, we absolutely love it. So if you're an avid person who sends lots of text messages, in Dad's book, you're still a texter.
Yep.
But if you're going to colour in during the lines, you're a texture. Do you know what a texture is, though? Like the actual word?
It's a fabric material.
Yeah. Okay.
That was good.
So that's not lost. That's not lost.
That's good. It's all there.
Is that the one?
Yeah. Bang on the money.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much.
So what are you guys doing? Just ringing up, wasting time.
Yeah, essentially. We just got time to fill on this week's ep, so we thought we'd give you a buzz. Just work out exactly what is going on between your ears.
Because we were talking about this on last week's episode of the show, and we did some follow-up research, and we wanted to get some, confirmation.
But you're not alone. People do say texture. We thought it was only you.
Professional advice.
So stick with
Is
it,
that what
Dad.
you needed?
Stick with
Yeah,
it.
you got to go to the expert.
Yeah, that's it. Stick with it. Don't change.
Well, if you're going to be an individual, you've got to stand up and be counted.
I like it. That's fair
Wrap it
enough.
up there.
That's fair enough. Well, thanks for joining us, Dad. It was fantastic to get a bit sciencey with Franky Mac. I never thought I'd get sciencey with Franky Mac, but there you go. We've gone and done it.
I know. But if you ever get stuck and you need city morgue, you kill them, we chill them.
Thanks, Dad. It's been an absolute pleasure, mate.
And if they want to keep that talking on the line, they usually hang up once they hear that.
There you go. We're going to do exactly that. Bye. Alrighty, boys, it's time for one of our favourite games here on the MacPack podcast. Riley's bloody pumped for it. He's yawning his absolute ring off. It's a game that Joe is becoming... he's getting a bad name for being incredibly bad at this one. It's a game that we've played previously once here on Season 3 of the MacPack podcast, and a game that we've played a handful of times in Season 2.
Great game.
I don't know why you struggle so much. I don't know if it's because you don't go to the shops much. I don't know if it's because you don't buy the foods that we necessarily buy, or if it's because your bank balance is just way too big. But nonetheless, it's one of our favourite games. Boys, it's called How Much Did I Pay? You stand in the line thinking, what is the blow? You're faking a smile while you're counting your dough. A $3 milk, now that's a crime. You've bought your own bags just to save a dime. And ask the cashier what's going on. How much did I pay? Feeling like a clown, your rewards points are gonna turn it around. She said she don't know how much is a pie. You got a smile on your dial, taking me for a ride. How much did I pay? The receipt don't lie. You think I'm a clown and you think I don't mind. How much did I pay? How much did I pay? Might be one of our favourite games, but it's quickly becoming one of our least favourite songs to listen back to.
Maybe we can do a short version.
It's long and shit, which is not... That's...
Not, yeah.
Anyway, that's all my penis has been described as. Boys, on this...
So flaccid.
On this week's episode of the pod, we're obviously playing How Much Did I Pay? There's obviously been a lot of talk in recent weeks about the iconic 2017 Coles campaign, which had the lovely Curtis Stone. That's right, the big stoner.
Yo!
Explaining to fellow Australians that they could go to the shops, any Coles, Woolies, no, Coles, only Coles, and essentially get as much food as possible for dinner.
Feed your family for 4.
Feed your family of 4 for $10, which
That's
is
pretty good.
a pretty impressive feat. There's not many places you can go and do exactly that, including Coles these days.
Oh, no.
And that is going to get brought to the forefront today.
Dun, dun, dun.
This week we're doing a Coles branded. How much did I pay? I'm going to tell you.
Yep. Not sponsored, to be clear.
Oh, no, anti-sponsored. But mind you, we'll do anything for $1. And times are tough at the moment. What I'm going to do is I'm going to list you what the item is.
Yep.
What it costs in 2017 versus what it cost, and then you guys can guess what it costs now. Easy enough?
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Joe, you're traditionally very bad at this. We're going to give you first serve.
Yep.
No, text them to me. Text them to me like you did last time. That
Text
worked out.
me.
That
Sounds good to
that
me.
worked out really well. Okay, first thing we have a big tub of Milo, one of those big Milo tins. It's 1.25 kilograms, which is actually a lot of Milo. Like, I don't know how long that's meant to last you. That, to me,
A couple of weeks.
that's a lifetime.
Yeah, that's a long...
That's a lifetime supply of Milo.
How good is when you get a fresh thing of Milo and the aluminium thing at the top? Just going ham on that with the spoon.
Bro, I actually need to have more Milo. It's so good.
It is, but isn't it just like pure brown sugar? Like
Brown sugar.
Like it's sugar, and they just
Okay.
fucking paint it, don't they? They just seal into that shit.
Yeah.
You know what it is? It's an Australian classic. In 2017, it cost...
I didn't write in. We meant to write
Not
in.
yet.
Yeah,
In
but
2017, it cost $12.99.
Wow.
How much in 2023 will a tin of Milo cost you? It's the big tin as well. It's the 1.25 kilogram tin, boys. How much will it cost you? How much has inflation gone up? Some of these products have obviously gone up more than others. None have gone down. I'll tell you that much for free. None of the items they're about to list have gone down in price.
That $12.99. That sounds expensive to begin with.
Yeah, I was thinking like in the
It does.
7-8 range.
I guess because it lasts so long. That's like a lot of cups of Milo.
Joe's got in with a $14 guess.
Yep.
And Riley has gotten in with a $16.99 guess.
That's a lot.
The correct price for a 2023 tin of Milo, 1.25 kilograms, is $15.50.
So
which
right in the middle.
means
I've won.
Riley
by a
wins by a cent.
He's gone and done
Riley
it.
wins. Riley was off by $1.49, while Joe was off by $1.50 at the other end.
The game's the game, Joey. A win's a win.
The game is the game.
99 bullshit. It's got me again.
All right, 1 to Smiley Riley.
And we got 5.
We've got 5.
Nice.
Next up, it's just a kilo of a normal potato. 1 kilo of
One potato.
no, 1
It's a
kilo.
big potato.
1 kilo of like normal, your standard potato.
Yep.
In 2017, it cost you $1.50. How much does it cost you in
That's
2023?
cheap. Yeah.
That's actually terrifyingly cheap, hey?
Shit the bed.
150.
I don't know how much.
I bought potatoes the other day.
We made mention to this.
Must be nice.
I was-
You know, is it in a bag? Or
This
is
is a kilo. It doesn't matter about the bag. It's a kilo of potatoes. I don't measure them by the bag. Kilo of potatoes. In a 2017, it was
It
one.
comes
You
in
know
a
how sometimes you can
golden
get just a
egg.
bag,
Yeah, yeah.
and sometimes
You're getting a bag for $1.50.
bag of potatoes.
Question. We mentioned how much is a chicken's life worth not that long ago.
Mm.
$1.50 for
Can
someone.
someone turn their
Yeah,
text
who's
messages
singing?
off?
That's you.
Oh, it'll be your laptop, Joe.
Oh, it's my laptop.
Oh.
Yeah, no, yeah. Laptop Joe. Watch it, buddy.
The amount of work that goes into getting spuds out of the ground.
Yep.
Surely it's worth more than $1.50. Plus the freight fees.
I think that, yeah, I don't know.
How are they making money on spuds? In 2017, it was $1.50. How much is a kilo of spuds worth now? Riley, get your answer in. Joey's in with the answer of $2.99. Riley's in with an answer of $4.49. The correct.
You are done, Riley.
Are you marking one up for you? I'd stop because it was $4.50
Bang, bang.
Wow.
for a bag of kilo of potatoes, which means Riley was off the mark by 1 cent, while Joe
Oh
was.
my God, I'm pretty good at this.
Do you ever shop?
The scent game is going on.
Do you ever shop?
No.
Have you ever bought a bag of potatoes?
No.
Okay, cool.
God, no.
There you go. Next up. God, no. Like you're fucking allergic to potato.
They're already cooked for me. Kentucky Bucky.
Colonel's finest. Next up, I've got a packet of tasty cheese. It's 700 grams worth of tasty cheese. I actually didn't write that down, but that's just going off the top of my head. In 2017, a bag of tasty cheese cost you $4.75. I want to know how much it costs in 2023. Get your answers in nice and quickly, boys. Tasty cheese. It's an interesting name, the old tasty cheese. I don't think they make mention to the fact of whether it's cheddar or mozzarella or anything. It's it's tasty.
Tasty.
I think Australia is one of the only places in the world that run a tasty variety of cheese. Like, I don't think you could go anywhere else and find out.
I'm a fan of it. Does the job.
In 2017, a bag of tasty cheese cost you $4.75. Joe has gone with $7.99. And Riley
99 track.
and Riley has gone $7.49. For the first time in nearly 6 months, Joe wins.
Oh.
A bag
bang
of
on.
tasty cheese is worth $10.
Shit.
So congratulations, Joe.
Oh my God, that's insane.
That's a lot.
That's
of,
more than double.
Yeah, that's nearly more than a roasted chicken.
That's cooked.
It is tasty.
Yeah, the
though.
chicken is usually cooked. Two
The
plays.
cheese isn't.
Two plays one.
Is that
What are we
it is?
thinking about the cheese? That seems the cheese. That
That's
seems high.
Absurdly high. It's not fucking blue. It's not a delicacy. It's tasty cheese.
It's like the dirt poor cheese that you get. Like that's like some of that. If have you ever eaten a bag of tasty cheese? This is like the shredded up stuff. Have you ever put one of those just raw in your mouth?
no good.
I've licked tables that taste better than that.
This one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it.
This one's good though.
All right, next one. A Scotch fillet. It's like a piece of steak. It's like a piece of meat. And now I understand that this doesn't necessarily play into your wheelhouse, but it is just a guessing number game. In 2017, a piece of Scotch fillet cost you $5. In 2023, how much will one piece of Scotch fillet cost you?
How much was it originally?
$5.
Scotch fillet, not a steak man. You're not a steak man. Are you a steak man?
Yeah, I don't mind a well done one. Yeah, $5.
$5. That seems fucking cheap.
Yeah.
I have no idea. How big is this fillet?
I'm going with my gut.
You understand you have to cook it, right? In 2017, a Scotch fillet set you back $5. In 2023, Joe believes it sets you back $8.99, while Riley reckons it costs a whopping $15. In 2023,
You moron.
in 2023, a Scotch fillet will cost you $8.
Oh.
Joey
It's a tie ball game here, going
Goes
into the fifth.
to 2-2.
Riley's
the
seriously
boys.
blown such a lead. A 2-0 lead.
A 2-0 lead.
That seems absurdly cheap for steak.
It does. That isn't bad, hey.
Like the surf and turf's like $40.
But that's cooking. That's buying at a restaurant. That's vastly different. If you,
considering the
It's equivalent
spuds are fucking $1.
that's equivalent to buying like one of their frozen pizzas for $3 and then going to like a really nice pizza place and being like,
Yeah, you're in Naples.
28. You reckon 28?
Yeah, right.
There you go. This is it. I hate to let you boys know, but whoever gets this next one is winner. Regular beef mince for dinner. In 2017, 500 grams of beef mince cost you $4. How much do they cost in 2023?
Why is there a grin, Joey?
Yeah, I'm nervous about this grin. If Joe hits, I think Joe's seen this in preparation for this segment, and if that's true, I'll be DQing the following guess.
So it was $4.
I'm not DQing the following guess.
So it was $4.
It was $4 in 2017. This is going to stand. This is going to stand. He sent me in his request. He's got no idea what he's talking about.
Yeah, I was bluffing.
Yeah, not a good bluff or guess.
Lock it in, Eddie.
In 2017, 500 grams of 3-star beef mince cost $4. In 2023, Joe believes they'd cost $10.99, while Riley believes they'd cost $7.50. Joe, it's been a valiant effort, but order will remain restored.
Hell
Riley
yes.
wins. Regular beef mince costs $6.50.
There you go.
Riley wins 3-2.
Screwed the pooch on that
Damn,
one.
that was actually some of those prices have gone up insanely high, so it's hard to gauge.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty. I found in my research a lot of the stuff that is like farming has gone up quite a bit. Even cheese. I don't know. I think cheese involves the farmers. That's all gone up quite high. Sweet potato, for example, has doubled. $180 in 2017, $390 for the same amount of sweet potato in 2023. Meanwhile, like a soft drink, if you went and got like 2 liters of Coke, it's gone up by like 80 cents. So like that shitty mass-produced stuff doesn't seem to be going up. But if you want quality ingredients that you can actually feed your family on, that shit's starting to really, really push the limits.
The cost of living.
There you go. Thank you so much for playing. Joe, we're going to get you a win at some point.
Yep.
I don't know what we're going to have to ask, but we're going to get you a win.
Maybe kombucha.
Alrighty, boys, it's time for our favourite weekly segment here on the MacPack podcast. It's our only weekly segment. It's time for our Everyday Hero. Joe, take it away.
Yes, that's right. I'm taking it away. Time to add another one to the hero tally for this season.
He's actually writing them down.
2 for Joey.
2 for Joe.
1 for Jake.
Riley yet to score.
I gave one last week.
And then I've also...
Yeah, he did.
Are you doing
He
last
did
week?
Dad.
Oh, yeah, true.
Wait,
Don't
how,
do that
we
out
haven't
of
done that many episodes.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah, this is the fourth
yeah,
one of
Matt.
the season.
Yeah. What did you do on them, Matt? Oh, yeah. Oh, no, you're right. Right, let's go.
It was stock take. Congratulations, Joe. Keep in mind though, with you, like I know quantity hasn't been high, but just because you're putting stats on the board, keep the quality at some level of standard. Yeah, you have been known to award it to
this
yourself.
is a good one.
I think you awarded it to yourself once. Didn't you?
Well, sometimes the moment demands it. So, coming up is the 40th anniversary of probably the greatest sporting achievement to ever happen in mankind.
Sports guy all of a sudden.
The shot.
The what?
My MJ's final shot.
No, the America's Cup. Australia winning the America's Cup, which happened in 1983. So I didn't know much about this, but have you guys obviously heard about it?
Nah.
I'm quite familiar with it.
So Riley, you know the famous bit where the Prime Minister said, anyone who sacks anyone who doesn't come in tomorrow is a bum.
Mm-hmm.
So that a lot of people know that, and that's all I really knew about it. I knew that it was like a yacht race or some shit, and then everyone got the day off, and it was lit apparently. Because mum and dad always talk about like, oh man, America was fucking crazy, everyone nuts.
Yeah, we did as a nation.
And I just thought, oh cool, we like won a boat race, like sick.
Yeah.
Everyone seemed to be pretty happy about it. But I didn't know much about it until I watched the Untold Netflix documentary about the America's Cup.
Yep.
And it essentially goes through the whole process of what the America's Cup is, which I didn't actually know, and how we won it.
Cool.
So the America's Cup is a yacht race that happens every 4 years, similar to the Olympics.
Yep.
It went on for 123 years until we won it. So America, and specifically the New York Yacht Club, won every single time from its conception up until we beat them.
What's conception?
Birth.
Sort of.
Kind of.
We'll get there one day. Yeah, so New York would just pump anyone who versed them. It was almost like a joke. They had the trophy bolted down in their yacht club
Arrogance, man.
because they're like,
They're
That
gonna win.
no one's fucking ever getting
It's
this,
just
right?
not believing.
Huge.
And then the team from so the Australia team was doing all right because basically the way it works is there's like a little mini tournament to see who can challenge America, and we had done that a couple of times and we had gotten pretty close, but like we'd gotten up to versing America and then we'd been destroyed, right?
Okay.
And then this guy Alan Bond, who
Bondy.
I think he's dead now, but he was in prison because of financial crime. But that happened later.
Ripple boy.
There's talk that he's the dingo flower.
Oh.
There's talk that he designed the dingo that is on the dingo flour mill and that's now appears on the dingo beer,
Dingo beer, yeah.
the dingo hot sauce and whatnot. But
Hot sauce.
that's like that's a thing.
All right.
Dingo
He
hot
designed
sauce.
that.
Yeah, that's one of the
rumours.
many. Yeah, there's a lot of stories about that. I've had some stuff to do with the Dingo Brewing Company over the years, and that often come up.
Come on, right? Because I didn't know much. The only thing I knew about him is that he went to prison and apparently he had a golden toilet. Because people at work used to say, oh yeah, if you go over there, his toilet's made of gold. And sometimes, because we used to work with like different clients, stuff, they're like, oh yeah, sometimes they'll take you up and they'll show you the gold toilet. Apparently it's still there.
Is this where you worked?
No, it was in the whatever company that he owned or whatever.
Okay.
But anyway, so he was like, all right, we have a pretty good yacht team, but we need the money to beat New York, right? So he was like, I'm just going to bankroll this whole thing.
Not sure how he made his money either.
Well, apparently the winning this was like massive for him because it like put him up on the world stage.
You don't win any cash prize for winning.
No, I don't know. But it was like,
I don't think you really win much money. Like even Sydney to Hobart is like the most prestigious year-on-year race.
Yeah.
You win a Rolex.
just for the team.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Sometimes the teams are like, I think they're like 12 to 14 deep.
Yeah.
How you cutting it? How you cutting the Rolex? But anyway, there's no like, I don't believe that there's like a $200,000 prize.
All right. So they ended up, they got millions of dollars from this guy and they're like, we need to make a boat that's better. And this one guy who apparently he went to school for 3 years, like when he was a kid. And he's like a artist kind of guy.
Yep.
Anyway, he invents this thing. So the bit that's underneath the boat is called the keel.
Mm-hmm.
And basically he saw a seagull and was like, oh, maybe I should make the keel like that. This is like obviously a shortened version of the story. But he made this keel, which was like inverted. So it was upside down.
Yeah.
And it's called the winged keel.
Yep.
And basically he made the fastest boat ever.
Mm.
Just some guy. And then they made the rule of the race is that it needs to be constructed in the country. So it was completely made in Perth, this boat, because everyone in the team is from Perth.
Yeah.
They make the boat, they're all training up. They end up going over to America and they smoke everyone in the Challenger thing. They win, I think they won like 47 out of 55 races, which
Yeah,
is like
right.
unheard of.
And can people see the front of their boat, or is it submerged in the water that no
So
one knows the trick?
This is the key.
When they race, it's underwater, so you can't see. But obviously you need to lift it up and out of water. So they had it covered with like a tarp all around it so no one could see. even to the point.
Clever.
So and then everyone's like, this fucking keel, like what? I don't know what
Yeah.
they've done, but this
So
boat
everyone
is
knew it was
insane.
hidden.
Everyone knew
knew
that they did something, but no one.
Could
And
see
people were
what-
trying to figure it out. Even got to the point where the guy Ben Lexham, he's the guy who designed it. He had a fake drawing of what it was, right?
Yeah.
And he left it in the photocopier at this because the race takes place in New York. He left it in the photocopier so that, and then he like rushed in. He was like, "Oh, I left a drawing of a diagram of my keel in the photocopier," and then it was everywhere.
The
So
double
everyone
off.
had this fake.
Oh
But
my
people were
God.
asking him about it, like, "Is this it?" He's like, "Could be." But so we get up to the face where we're versing America.
Yeah.
So they've had this one guy, Dennis Conner, who is probably like one of the greatest sailors to ever live. So he's won. He never lost the America's Cup, and he was talking about the New York Yacht Club, which is the yacht club that he races for. He was talking about how they're basically like his family, his mom and dad, because they all look after him and stuff. Because he just every year he just wins them the cup. So we get to verse with them. First two races, the first I can't remember exactly what happened, but there's problems with the boat. One time the rudder came off.
Yeah.
The next one, something in the mast broke. So we lost the first two races for basically like there's a problem with the boat.
Technical fault.
The next race, so they do a check. Every single thing on the entire boat gets checked. We win the next one by massive margin. Then we end up losing the next one. So we're down 3-1.
Bit like you in the old Costas.
Yeah,
correct?
exactly.
Yeah.
So we're down 3-1, and it's a first of four. It's best of seven, right?
Mm-hmm.
And basically the team is like, we're not going to do this. If we make one mistake in a race,
It's over.
Done.
we're done, right? And the team was like, we can't do it. And that's when they see on the TV, the Prime Minister at the time, Bob Hawke, the guy who's famous for chugging the beers.
Drinking piss.
Of course.
So
He's
there
the
was
guy who said the quote at the start.
yeah. So he was on the TV and he said, he was like, "Look, you guys have done so great. You've made us all proud. Just go out there and sort of do your best." They chuck the boxing kangaroo flag up on the yacht and they start playing Down Under, Men at Work. And that's like the fucking rallying cry. And at this point, because the team was doing so well, people had flown over to New York. So New York was like full of Aussies.
Hell yeah.
We then win the second race, win the next race, win the race after that. And then it's like, oh, fuck.
3-0.
Game 7 of the series.
Then there's like a rule. The New York people kind of bend the rules a bit. They modify their boat and they take off like a ton of.
Ooh.
They
Right.
modify it,
Yeah.
so it's a lot quicker.
Mhm.
And then we get down to the final race, and it's like this is game 7.
Yeah.
We go down there, and it's not looking good. We're behind. This is a boat that we've essentially never raced before,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it's absolutely smoking us.
Mhm.
And then, so we're getting around the end. Everyone's like, fuck, we're not going to do it. And like, you think that, like, obviously the Matildas race, not the Matildas race, the Matildas game, a lot more people watched because
Yeah.
there's a lot more people here now.
Yeah,
But like, in terms of market share, like
Mm.
fucking everyone was watching this race.
yeah. Yeah.
And then we're like, fuck, we're not going to do it. We've lost. And the way it works is you got to go around this thing and there's like multiple sort of turns and stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah, the track is, it's like, it can be like an S shape, imagine like that.
Like a figure 8.
But they're just like little markers out in the river, in the ocean that you
Yeah.
have to go around.
Yeah.
So there's no like, it's not like
not
a
a
race.
lap.
It's not like a race car track where you're like watching.
The inside lane doesn't exist.
Yeah,
Well,
it sort of does.
and then, so there's another thing they mentioned that the way that this boat was made, if there's a specific type of wind, the boat does really well. So at this point, we were a minute behind the other boat. So you kind of fucked. Like,
yeah, that's long.
It's a
there's
long
not
way.
much you can come back. And then basically the other sailor, when he went around the turn, he like didn't cover, which means like he like left a room for them to potentially go up.
It's taking like a wide berth.
He took the outside lane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the guy who was our skipper, the like captain of the ship, he was talking earlier. So this guy was like obsessed with winning the America's Cup. He went to MIT on a scholarship to study like nautical shit. He wrote his master's. His master's.
That's not an official term.
Nautical person.
His master's was it was called like the optimum angle of sails to win the America's Cup
Okay.
or something like that. Like this was his
Yeah, this
life's
is
goal, and he
nice.
talked about he's like would surf and sail and stuff, and he was talking about how he's like, I'm so like used to like the ocean and the way that it works that he was like, I kind of have a sixth sense about like the wind.
Mhm.
He's like, I can tell what the wind is about to do before it does it.
You've got that, but that's like pants wind.
Yeah. So he makes this call where he's like, he can feel it shifting or whatever. And then they end up coming back. And then it's like, imagine you're watching a race like, oh, we've lost this thing. And then all of a sudden they coming back up, coming up, making the gap smaller and smaller. Everyone's watching this thing, going absolutely nuts. And it comes to a final bit where, so the two boats are like head to head, but you can't really tell based on the way like the angles work. You can't tell who's actually winning
Yeah.
until the Australia team makes the decision to like pull in front of them.
Ooh.
So they do that,
Cut them off.
and then they come down and they win the race.
Hell yeah.
So they're the only people to ever win in 123 years, aside from America. And then the reason why I cried a lot watching that documentary.
yeah, it's cool. That's why I love sport.
It's the
It's the
greatest, man. I hope I come back from Melbourne like this, man. I'm going to be a mess.
That's what I was thinking. Like, this legit comes back to like what we're talking about at the start with like if it ends up with Carlton fucking pies, it's the story.
Oh, man. It's going
And
to be huge.
That's what sport is.
It's going to be huge.
The reason why I thought that this would be like a heroic story to tell is part of it was because the other guy lost, and he said no one went to the press conference with him. No one.
What do you mean he lost?
The American.
Oh, the
captain.
American dude lost.
Yeah, he lost the race.
Yeah, and no one went to the press
And they
with him.
blamed him for not covering.
That's harsh.
They blamed him for losing the America's Cup and like disgracing America.
Right.
The scapegoat.
And no one went to his.
It's like when you lose cost is correct. Like when you lose that and we just go, man, just go to the shops, man.
and like
Read a catalogue, Joe, just once.
because no one went to the press conference with him. Imagine you lost.
Yeah, that's
You're
fine.
watching the grand final and they're like, oh, you lost.
It's your fault.
Fucking sort it out yourself. And
Imagine Nick Dacos has 35 and misses like the game-winning goal, and they're like, you know what? It's on you, bro.
Yeah.
yeah, and I just thought like when I heard that in the documentary, it just really made me upset because it was like we wouldn't do that.
Nah.
Like if they lost,
Oh, man.
like
Yeah.
we would still be like, man, like fuck, they
What an
absolutely killed
effort.
it. Yeah.
100%.
And then what I really liked about it was, so the next year it was in Perth because we won it.
Yeah.
And then he came back. He was like, he said he fell into like depression and stuff after losing
The
the
American dude.
Yeah, he went from being the best sailor in the world to being a carpet salesman
Fuck.
because he was just like, fuck, I like, lost my like life's purpose or whatever. And then eventually he was like, no, fuck it. He came back to Perth 4 years later
Yeah.
with a different team because New York was like, nah, fuck.
Yeah.
You're not coming on our team. And he won it back. And our captain gave him back the trophy because our team didn't. They were like, oh, we already won. We sort of don't
We
care
don't
about it
It's
anymore.
the most Australian thing ever, right? It's like, yeah, fuck it, we've already
Yeah.
done it.
But yeah, I just thought it was like,
Good on him.
the whole story was like Australian spirit, like Bob Hawke being an absolute legend, like the underdog story of
Yeah.
like the fact that the Perth team beat New York, literally the city that is farthest away from each other in the world. And
Yeah,
just like
that's
the
true.
ragtag group from Perth beat them.
It's so true.
And like literally the guy who made the thing, he like no shirt. He was just like a very strange guy. And they had like they literally had naval.
Shout out.
They had like the Navy
Yeah.
designed their boats.
And we just
yeah.
had Joe Briggs from down the road who quite literally has done 3 years of school.
Yeah. So I just thought that like it was such a great like Australian story about like the
Yeah.
like little guy winning and stuff. And I just feel like, especially now, like we've talked about the whole cost of living and stuff. There's like all the housing problems and everything. And it's just like, it's nice to be reminded of like what the ideal of Australia is,
Yeah.
which I think is like exemplified by this story.
100%.
Yeah.
And so touching on that,
Yeah, I looked at the run sheet and it's like We've just tied back a bunch of segments, and it's like my film story.
Mate, there was a lot of on that boat. Don't you worry. And it's 40 years coming up only in a matter of weeks. I think it actually will fall. It'll be this week when this episode comes out. It'll be this week that the 40. So it'll be all over the news. So absolutely, to yourself and have a little geese. As Joe mentioned, there's a video on YouTube. Would highly suggest you watch it on Netflix. Sorry, I haven't watched it, but
What's it called?
I'm yet to hear.
It's called
a bad word about this thing.
It's called Untold, and it's called like the greatest race in history. Let me just double check. Let me get.
And as Joe mentioned, it's a fantastic Australian story. I mentioned it a few weeks ago. There's few things that bring Australia together more than sport and being the underdog. And I think this, as you mentioned, personifies exactly that. So I think it's a fantastic, to everyone involved in the race, it's winning this week's Everyday Hero, I reckon.
Yeah, yeah.
Fantastic moment in
everyone
history.
who was there supporting him when it happened, and even the other guy, Dennis Conner, the other yachtsman, who didn't give up on his dream.
Nah, we love that. That's what we're all about.
Brother.
We love it. On your work, Joe. Good work. Alrighty, boys, that brings us to the end of an episode of the MacPack podcast. A little bit of a longer one. So wrap that around your ear holes on this. Finals Eve. This Collingwood.
Go Pies.
Collingwood Eve.
Let's hope that there's a documentary in 40 years
man.
about this final series for the Fires.
It would be anything. There is a little, if you're looking for an underdog story.
It's the Blue Baggers.
Yeah, no. It's the biggest and most powerful football club who's been top of the ladder all season.
Nick Dacos got hurt. There's something in that.
Brad
Maynard killed a man. There's something in that. What else went down? Oh yeah, Darcy Moore. He's got sore legs.
Yeah.
Not really. I don't know.
Will Hoskin Elliott's a bit of a thug now.
He's a mad dog out of nowhere. Will Hoskin Elliott's just fucking punching on with people.
I was actually so proud of him.
What a dude.
We should get him on.
Yeah, he's probably free as well. Like, what does he get up to?
Yeah.
Punch people now. That's his thing. He's such an unassuming character. Such
I
an
know,
unassuming
For those of you who don't, what we're referencing is...
Mate, there'd be Pies supporters that don't know who Will Hoskin Elliott is.
He got a game.
he played every
he
game.
playing?
He's
He played every game
for
this season.
5
Oh, real?
years, yeah.
But yeah, so basically, our toughest player, one of the toughest players in the league, got into a couple fights on the first game of the finals, and this guy, Will Hoskin Elliott, who...
Love him, mate. He's a very gentle guy.
A lovely guy, yeah.
He's very
Pretty
quick. He's very quick. Doesn't put a great deal of like... let's just say he's not the enforcer of the team by any means.
Yeah, and like compared to like a normal person, he's probably very muscly. But like,
he
compared
beat
to
the shit out of us.
But compared to like AFL players who are like, very
The people who he's got, there's not many fights that he's going into being the bigger of the two.
Yeah. Anyway, and he was in there backing up the toughest man who I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
fucked.
okay.
Good on him.
But no, we absolutely.
Oh, yeah, I see a
Potential
photo of it here.
Potential everyday hero next week.
Will Hoskin.
Just the two-hand shell.
Yeah, like he's
Good on him.
getting involved. You bloody love to see it, boys. It's been an absolute pleasure. It's been a mammoth episode of the MacPack podcast. We're incredibly excited about what tonight has in store for us. Fingers crossed it's a Magpies victory, and fingers crossed next week's episode is coming to you on the eve of the 2023 AFL Grand Final, of which we will all be attending.
Fucking let's go.
You thought there was tears in this app, mate. When we get back, if we won the flag, fucking shit the bed and go me, Sally. Boys,
It's an hour long.
it's
special.
been, mate, we'll go through.
Get a confetti
I'm
cannon.
going to go through and explain every one of Will Hoskin Elliott's disposals if we win. We're going to walk them through. Boys, it's been an absolute pleasure until we do this time. Well, it won't be next week, but it'll be in a couple of weeks' time. We'll have an episode out next week, but we won't be sitting here until we come home with that big trophy.
Oh, yes.
Stay safe. Stay blessed. And always remember to
Go give your mama a hug.
it's ciao for now, but not forever.